You don't necessarily have to be wearing them at the moment if you don't want to. They're just kind of fancy sunglasses right now. But if you are wearing them, don't worry, I don't judge out loud. Also, if you are still entering the tram, make sure to move all the way over to the right-hand side, filling all the empty seats and leave the empty ones on your left. The reason why is simple logic. We enter from the left, meaning an empty seat on the right. Somebody's going to climb over you to find it. You're either going to make a brand new friend or have a really awkward encounter. It's like a 50-50 shot, so, use your best judgment. Also, when those doors do close, if you find yourselves on the left-hand side of the tram, watch out. The doors are heavy. They hurt. You might have also noticed something kind of interesting about me in the time that I've been talking to you. See, I'm not just talking to you, I'm also looking at you. That means I am not driving this vehicle. It would be a very unsafe tour if I tried. So, allow me to introduce a very important individual to our right-hand side. Give me a huge round of applause for our driver, Charlotte, everybody. That's right. Charlotte is the reason we are not going to be walking to 397 acres of movie studio. And on a day like today, we are very fortunate to have them in the driver's seat. Yeah, see, notice where the movie studio is? Downhill, right? Which means the first part of the tour is real easy. The hill takes care of itself. But coming back, well, that's a hill we would not want to be walking up on a day like today. Folks, what I want you to do, I want you to look to your left, and I want you to wave goodbye to all the folks still waiting in line. Yeah, you know what's kind of fun? Now that you've seen their faces, you're going to find them all day for the rest of the day in the park. It's like a theme park miracle. It's because you've memorized their faces. You've seen them so many times. Now, I've introduced Charlotte, our driver. I introduced myself, Brian, your tour guide, just in case you forgot it. But I do have one more introduction to make. He is going to be my co-host today. You're probably going to recognize this gentleman from his time on Saturday Night Live, or is the current host of The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. And look at that, I just gave it away. Folks, please welcome Mr. Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, hey there. You made it. Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guy.
Ryan.
And the greatest driver.
Charlotte.
They're the best. I love them. Even though
Ryan.
owes me $5.
Oh, come on.
I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
That's right, everybody. Just a few safety rules to go over before we go in here too far. First and foremost, if you do require guest assistance. For instance, if you're having a medical emergency, you drop anything of value off the side of the tram, you're having sound and video issues, what you're going to want to do? Reach up, grab hold of the red cable, run it down the center of the ceiling of the tram, give it a pull. Then please remain seated until it is safe for me to exit the tram and come assist you. Now, be aware of just one thing. If we are indoors or next to one of our large-scale attractions, and believe me, it's very apparent when those times are, I cannot exit the tram for my own safety. Therefore, I cannot retrieve your item. Somebody else will, but it is entirely possible that item may not be available to you until 10 o'clock tonight at Guest Relations. So please, be careful. Also, be aware that today's tram tour takes place completely on private property, meaning that if you do need a restroom or drop a cell phone, please remain seated, use the red cable, and do not attempt to leave the tram on your own. Also, today's tram tour is going to feature loud noises, sudden tram movements, fire effects, and many, many, many water effects. Thankfully, though, we marked the seats that are going to get wet. They're all the seats marked in blue. They're all blue, folks. Speaking of water, though, watch out for your cameras, because, cameras plus water equals uh-oh. So, watch out. We don't want you to get your cameras wet. Speaking of cameras, something that may not be totally apparent to you is turn off the flash or flashlight on your camera. You know your flash or flashlight on your camera is designed to go about 10 feet? Everything on this tram tour is going to be far more than 10 feet away. Your flash will actually ruin your photos. So turn it off, especially when we're in the dark. Trust me. Last but not least, there is no smoking of any kind at any time on board this tram. And yes, that includes if you're on fire. Thankfully, though, if you do find yourself on fire, it's the right time, because on your right, that is our actual fire station. Fire Station 51, anyone recognize the reference? Used for the very first time as the home of Squad 51 in the television series Emergency! You have to say it like that. It's got an exclamation point in the title. So, our Fire Station 51 was named after the fictitious Fire Station 51. Anybody watching Chicago Fire on TV right now? Because that's also Fire Station 51. So, that fictitious Fire Station 51 was named after our real Fire Station 51, which was named after a fictitious Fire Station 51. And it gets even deeper. Anybody remember Friends? Do you remember when Phoebe almost burns down New York? She calls 911, Fire Station 51 shows up. That's response time. They made it from Southern California to New York City before the city burned down. We call that movie magic. On your left, That is the largest soundstage we have ever created here at Universal. It was built in 1929, but if you want to know what recently filmed there, look at the front. They left a little hint. That's where they used to film The Voice until recently.
Fun.
Recently, as in, do you remember when you watched the show and they redesigned the entire set just a little while ago? That's because they left that soundstage and moved into another one. They don't do that for no reason. To redesign the set costs time, energy, and money.
Yeah, money.
Now, folks, we have reached the front lot, so look to your right-hand side because that is the backside of Super Nintendo World. Opening here at Universal Studios Hollywood in early 2023. Keep an eye on our social media or our website for all the
It
details.
really said 2020.
On your left-hand side, some of the busiest sound stages we have here at Universal. In fact, right now, these sound stages are home to production for Season 2 of Bel-Air, which is a dramatic reinterpretation of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, known as a reboot, because none of the original actors came back to reprise their original roles. Well, except the executive producer. Also on the left, these two sound stages. These were used for a very dark movie back in the day. That's where Marion Crane finally ended up passing away in the shower scene in the movie Psycho. They also used it for episodes of Desperate Housewives. They also used it most recently for a TV series on HBO Max called Hacks. Gene Smart won an Emmy. But right before that, that is where they rebuilt Bayside High School for the Saved by the Bell revival series. That was a revival because all of the remaining actors came back to reprise their original roles. All but the one who's no longer with us. Rest in peace, Screech. Over here on your left-hand side, you see all these trailers? That's how you can tell there is a massive amount of production going on our lot today. And yes, there is a massive amount of production going on our lot today. Essentially, anytime you see one of these, you can basically consider them to be a mobile apartment for any of our actors. See, with the way the industry works nowadays, these actors could literally be working on the other side of the country tomorrow for the same production. But what we would do is send these trailers with them, so they get to bring a little bit of their home to any of the movie sets they need to go on to. That would be like getting up in the morning, packing up your bedroom, and being able to bring it to work with you. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be awesome.
On your left, Soundstage 14, just recently used as the employee break room for the television series Superstore. But there was a little movie that you might have seen that got filmed in there a few years back. That movie was called Jurassic Park. You remember the scene where Lexi finally decides she's no longer afraid of dinosaurs, she's going to pet the Brachiosaurus and it sneezes on her? Filmed in that room right over there. And also the scene where Tim and Dr. Grant are climbing down the tree with the Jeep falling behind them? Filmed in that soundstage as well. On your right, you're going to notice